Prince William had always known that being a father was his most important role. But in the winter of 2026, as the harsh winds swept through the grounds of Windsor, his protective instincts were pushed to a limit he had never experienced before. This is the story of how a single, terrifying moment brought the future King of England to his knees and revealed the depth of a father's love for his only daughter. It began on an unusually chilly Tuesday afternoon at Adelaide Cottage. The Wales family had chosen this modest four-bedroom home on the Windsor estate for its privacy and the simple life it offered their 3 children. Unlike the grandeur of Kensington Palace, here the children could play freely in the sprawling gardens, ride their bikes, and enjoy the kind of upbringing both William and Kate valued. 10-year-old Princess Charlotte was, by all accounts, a whirlwind of energy. Royal experts had often remarked on her spirited personality. Jenny Bond, as a former BBC royal correspondent, had previously noted the special bond between father and daughter, observing that there was a particular place in his heart for his sporty little Charlotte. She was competitive, fearless, and possessed a confidence that reminded everyone of a young Queen Elizabeth. That afternoon, she was doing what she loved most, playing outdoors with her younger brother, Prince Louis. The garden was their kingdom. Louis, age 7, was chasing Charlotte around the ancient oak trees, their laughter echoing off the old stone walls. Kate was watching from the kitchen window, a cup of tea in her hand, enjoying the sound of her children's joy. It had been a long road back to normalcy. The previous 2 years had been brutal for the family, marked by Kate's cancer diagnosis and treatment, a period William himself had described as the hardest year in my life. Moments like this, simple, loud, and chaotic, were the ones they cherished most. Charlotte, always the leader, decided to climb the wooden fence that separated the main garden from the wilder meadow beyond. It was something she had done 100 times before, but this time, the recent winter rains had made the woods slick with moss. As she swung her leg over the top, her foot slipped. Time seemed to slow down for Kate. She saw Charlotte's arms flail as she tried to grab hold of the fence. And then she watched her daughter tumble backwards, landing hard on the frozen ground below. The sound that followed was not just a cry of surprise, but a deep, guttural scream of pain that pierced the quiet afternoon air. Kate dropped her mug, the ceramic shattering on the kitchen floor, and ran. She found Charlotte curled in a ball on the grass, her face pale and streaked with tears. Louis stood frozen, unsure of what had happened. "Mummy, it hurts. It hurts so much," Charlotte sobbed, clutching her right wrist. When Kate gently tried to look at it, Charlotte screamed again. The wrist was already beginning to swell at an alarming rate, the angle looking slightly unnatural. Kate's medical training from her university days kicked in. She knew this was bad. She scooped Charlotte into her arms, trying to stay calm for Louis's sake, and rushed her inside the warm house. Within minutes, the household was in motion. A call was placed to the royal medical team, and a decision was made. This was beyond a simple sprain. Charlotte needed immediate hospital attention. As Kate held an ice pack to Charlotte's wrist, trying to soothe her, she made the call her husband dreaded. William was at an engagement in London, but he answered on the first ring. Hearing the tremor in his wife's voice, he didn't wait for an explanation. "I'm coming home," he said. He left the engagement immediately, the car tearing through the London traffic toward Windsor. Now, the drive to the hospital was a blur of worried silence and Charlotte's quiet whimpers. The private hospital, the same one where Kate had once received treatment, was ready for them. A team of pediatric specialists met them at a discreet entrance, and Charlotte was whisked away for an X-ray. William arrived just as the doctors were reviewing the results. He burst into the waiting area, his usually composed demeanor replaced by raw anxiety. "Where is she? Is she okay?" he asked, embracing Kate tightly. "She's with the doctors. They think it might be broken. Kate whispered. A few moments later, a senior orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alicia Mirza, entered the room holding a set of scans against a light box. Her expression was serious. "Your Royal Highnesses," she began, her voice calm but direct. "I'm afraid Princess Charlotte has suffered a significant fracture to her distal radius, one of the main bones in the wrist. The break is quite complete, and there is some minor displacement." William felt the blood drain from his face. He looked at the X-ray, seeing the clear break in his little girl's bone. "Will she be okay? Will she have full movement? She's so active." His voice trailed off, betraying his fear. The doctor explained that while it was serious, it was a common injury in children. However, due to the displacement, they would need to perform a procedure called a manipulation under anesthesia to reset the bone properly. And it was the best way to ensure it healed correctly without long-term issues. As Dr. Mirza spoke, William's mind flashed back to the bracelet Charlotte had made for him just months ago, the little blue beads that spelled out Papa, which he had worn so proudly on his trip to South Africa. He thought about how she would cry if she couldn't play soccer anymore, how she and Louis had been planning a bike race for the weekend. The thought of her in pain was unbearable. But before Charlotte was taken to the operating room, William insisted on seeing her. He sat on the edge of her bed, holding her uninjured hand. She looked so small in the big hospital bed, her eyes red from crying. "Daddy, it really hurts," she said, her voice small. William leaned in, kissing her forehead. "I know, my darling. I know. But these doctors are the best in the world. They are going to fix you up, and when you wake up, the pain will be gone. You're the bravest girl I know, Charlotte, and the bravest." He stayed with her until the moment the anesthesiologist wheeled her away. Watching her go, William felt a helplessness he had rarely experienced. He could face the world's press, he could take on the responsibilities of a kingdom, but in that moment, he could not take away his daughter's pain. The waiting began. The minutes ticked by like hours. Kate and William sat in the private room, speaking little, each lost in their own worried thoughts. Kate remembered the fear of her own cancer treatments and how Charlotte had been a constant source of light during those dark days, bringing her drawings and sitting with her quietly. Now the roles were reversed. William paced the floor, his jaw tight with tension. Finally, Dr. Mirza returned. "The procedure was a complete success," she said, and the relief on both parents' faces was immediate. "The bone is perfectly aligned, and we have placed her in a lightweight cast. She will need to wear it for about 4 to 6 weeks. Children heal remarkably fast, but the next few days will be uncomfortable as the swelling goes down." They were taken to the recovery room where Charlotte was just beginning to stir from the anesthesia. She was groggy and confused, but when she saw her parents, a weak smile crossed her face. "Daddy, my arm feels funny," she mumbled, looking at the bright purple cast that now covered her forearm. William let out a breath he felt he had been holding for hours. He gently touched the cast. "It's your new armor, sweetheart. The doctor said you're a warrior princess now." Charlotte giggled weakly, the sound music to their ears. But the night was far from over. As the strong anesthetic wore off, the pain returned with a vengeance. Back in the privacy of Adelaide Cottage, Charlotte struggled to sleep. The cast felt heavy and strange, and the ache in her bone kept her awake. William took the night watch. He sat in a chair next to her bed, holding her hand, whispering stories to her about when he was a little boy and the scrapes he used to get into. Every time she whimpered in her sleep, he was there, stroking her hair, telling her it was okay. He didn't sleep a wink. The next morning, the reality of the injury set in. Simple tasks that Charlotte took for granted, brushing her teeth, tying her shoes, pouring her own cereal, were suddenly monumental challenges. Kate watched her daughter's frustration boil over when she tried to button her school shirt and couldn't. Tears of frustration spilled down Charlotte's cheeks. I can't do anything, Mummy. Kate knelt beside her. Yes, you can. You just have to learn new ways to do them for a little while, and you have us to help. The family rallied around her. Prince Louis, usually the one vying for attention, became her little helper, fetching things for her and drawing pictures on her cast with markers. Prince George, ever the protective older brother, offered to carry her school bag. Yet it was William who remained most attentive. He had always been a hands-on father, but this incident elevated his protectiveness to a new level. Just a few weeks prior, a moment had been captured on camera during the family's Christmas walk at Sandringham. As Charlotte interacted with well-wishers, William had been seen leaning in, asking, "Charlotte, so are you okay?" Ensuring she was comfortable with the attention. That instinct was now in overdrive. He insisted on driving her to and from school, helping her with her homework by holding her pencil for her when her hand got tired and carrying her plate at dinner. Then, the world found out. A source close to the family, with permission, confirmed to the press that Princess Charlotte had suffered an accident and was recovering well. The response was overwhelming. Get well cards flooded into Kensington Palace from children all over the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth. Some drew pictures of soccer balls, knowing Charlotte's love for the sport. Others drew princesses with casts on their arms. One little girl from Manchester sent a get well card with a handwritten note. "To Princess Charlotte, I broke my arm too. It gets better. From Lily." The genuine kindness of the public touched the family deeply. But it also brought with it a renewed wave of media scrutiny. Camera crews staked out locations hoping to catch a glimpse of the princess. This forced William into a new role, the defender of his daughter's privacy. He had grown up in the glare of the media after his mother's death and was fiercely protective of his children's right to a normal childhood. He instructed his security team to be extra vigilant, and the family retreated further into the privacy of the Windsor estate. 2 weeks after the accident, the family was invited to a private reception at Windsor Castle to thank the medical staff who had helped Charlotte. It was a low-key affair, but it marked Charlotte's first semi-public appearance since the fall. She was nervous, worried that people would stare at her cast. William knelt down to her level in the car before they arrived. "Listen to me," he said softly. "You don't have to talk to anyone you don't want to. You just stay close to me and Mummy. That cast is just a sign that you're brave."